You're listening to Systemic Era Podcast. The failure was designed.
Even Trump voters think his 16-day MAGA festival is a bust, based on an article by Alex Henderson. A patriotism racket wrapped in tarps. The fair is the message. The Great American State Fair on the National Mall is not a celebration so much as a political diagnostic. Organized by the Trump-linked Freedom 250 group and wrapped in MAGA patriotism, it puts Trump's movement's priorities on display: spectacle, grievance, Christian nationalism, and a thin layer of branding pretending to be national unity. The reporting says even some Trump supporters walked away disappointed, confused, or angry. That matters, but not because the event failed aesthetically. It matters because the event reveals how little substance is left once the costume is stripped away. Power designed this. The people with real institutional power here are obvious: Trump-aligned organizers, the donors and movement operators around them, and the political ecosystem that still treats this kind of pageantry as a legitimate expression of American power. The National Mall is not some private lot. It is one of the most symbolically loaded public spaces in the country. Occupying it with the MAGA-themed fair is a statement about who gets to define national identity and whose version of patriotism gets staged as default. That is the point. This is not grassroots celebration. It is movement propaganda with vendor booths. Confusion is the cover story. The most revealing part of the reporting is the event's atmosphere of incompetence: broken air conditioning, sagging tarps, a tiny model of Trump's arch, and booths that drift from religious recruitment to culture war memorabilia. That mess can look like amateurism. It is also a tactic. When political projects fail to deliver coherence, they often hide behind performance, noise, and branding. The confusion is not accidental collateral damage. It is part of how the project avoids being judged on its actual content. The article's weakest framing is the temptation to treat this as a quirky MAGA embarrassment. It is more serious than that. The sloppiness does not soften the ideology. It makes the ideology easier to smuggle past scrutiny. Christian nationalism open for business. The Great Awakening booth, with its COVID denialism, Christian founding myths, and pressure to pray, is not a side attraction. It is the core. This is what the movement wants America to be: a country where evidence is optional, religion is a loyalty test, and historical fraud is sold as patriotic education. The attendant's attempt to convert visitors is not random zeal. It is recruitment into an exclusionary political theology. The same logic extends to the MAC booth, the conservative ARP that supports raising the Social Security eligibility age. The movement's public language is all reverence for real Americans, but its policy instincts are harsher: work longer, bid less, and call it virtue. The cultural pageantry and the economic cruelty belong to the same political program. Misdirection as method. The fair tries to monopolize patriotism while hollowing it out. That is the recurring trick. The movement frames itself as the defender of the nation while selling a warped view of its values, one built on religious coercion, historical revisionism, and material retrenchment. It invites the public to focus on tone, kitsch, and event quality instead of power, policy, and who pays the price. Even the disappointment of some Trump supporters does not redeem the scene. It only shows the gap between the fantasy sold to them and the shabby operation delivering it. The right's political machine is often less competent than it pretends, but it is still dangerous because incompetence does not cancel intent. It just makes the damage uglier. The larger pattern. This fair is a miniature version of authoritarian politics in the United States: privatized nationalism, public spaces turned into ideological theaters, religion used as discipline, and economic policy hidden behind sentimental fraud. The movement does not need to govern well to govern cruelly. It only needs to keep converting public life into a loyalty ritual and keep calling that patriotism. That is the real lesson here. The issue is not a bad fair. The issue is a political coalition that treats the country as a branding opportunity and democracy as a nuisance to be dressed up, preached at, and priced out. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article. With the automated voice of Kizel, thanks for listening.